Yeah. Strip it down. Take off the upholstery. Take off the upholstery. Take off the paint. Take off everything that was added to make it look acceptable to somebody who never drove it. What's left is the chassis. And the chassis is all that ever mattered. I am the chassis. Born a woman to nab in the house that never had anything decorative. Everything we had was structural. Food, floor, roof. Beauty was a concept from a different zip code, Compton. Stripped my sentimentality before my voice changed. By the time I was 15, I understood that everything visible is a negotiation. And everything under the surface is what actually determines who survives the negotiation. I chose to operate under the surface where the real machinery lives. Strip it down, strip to what holds. Compton took the upholstery before I was 15. Only the chassis made it out of that zip code. Strip it down. What's under the surface is the only thing that survives the negotiation. I don't run a large operation, I run a precise one. 3 women, 2 territories, 1 rate that does not move regardless of conditions. Precision is what the chassis demands. Slop is what gets you dismantled. Monica from Central when the laundry came through 2002. She had been working without structure since she was 19. Independent but unprotected in Compton. Independent without protection is not freedom, it's exposure. I offered her the chassis, not the upholstery. Clear terms, clear consequences, no ornament. She said, "You're not like the others I dealt with." I said, "I don't know who the others were, but I know what I am, and what I am is stripped. No theater, no presentation, no promises I can't back up with infrastructure." She stayed because the infrastructure was real. Strip it down, strip to what holds. Monica came for structure. For the chassis, no upholstery. She stayed because the infrastructure was real. Strip it down. No theater, no presentation. Just what holds under the conditions of this specific road. The infrastructure is always real. That's the West Coast operating principle in its most reduced form. You don't talk about what you have, you demonstrate what you are. And demonstration requires consistency across every situation, including the ones nobody's watching. Nobody's watching most of the time. That's when the chassis either holds or it doesn't. I've been holding since Compton was deciding what I was going to be, and the decision it made was durable, stripped, engineered for the condition of this specific road. The women who work for me know this is not the Hollywood version. There is no mink, no cashmere, no poetry. There is rate and there is result. Rate is what I take, result is what they keep. The space between is the business, and the business is as stripped as the neighborhood that taught me how to run it. I pay for every block of this territory in a currency that doesn't convert to anything outside the district. The cost was counted in years and risk absorbed in winters where the heating bill was a choice between operations and warmth. I chose operations, and the operations kept warmth available for the women who needed it. Strip it down, strip to what hold. The chassis is all that ever mattered. Paid in years and winters, and choices made when nobody was watching. Strip it down, and what holds in Compton is the only thing worth being. Watts doesn't apologize, it just keeps operating the same way it kept operating when the towers burned. The same way it kept operating when the news trucks left. I don't explain myself either. Explaining yourself is the first sign that you think somebody else's opinion matters. And in this district, the only opinion that has weight is the one attached to consequence. I've been running Imperial on 103rd since before some of these young boys understood the difference between reputation and noise. Noise gets loud and goes away. Reputation arrives quietly and stays permanently. Box doesn't apologize, it just keeps operating. Past the towers, past the news trucks, past the cleanup crews who came for the photo and left before dark. Reputation arrived quietly here and stayed permanently.
same as me.
The game here is stripped of everything decorative. No fur, no poetry, no philosophy, just product and protocol. The product moves because the protocol is enforced. The protocol is enforced because the district has no tolerance for deviation. I run 4 women, all 4 came to me the same way. They were already running just without direction. Watts didn't break them, some other district broke them first. I just gave the damage a framework and the framework a function. Keisha worked 108 before she found me. She was paying protection to 3 different operators who each thought they were exclusive. I introduced her to the concept of 1 sovereign and 1 rate. Now she works clean, she accounts clean, and she keeps clean margins. You think that's exploitation? I think that's the only administration that made sense in a place that never had clean infrastructure. The city didn't build Watts to work. I built my operation inside Watts to work inside what the city left behind. Watts doesn't apologize, it just keeps operating. Keisha came from 3 operators who each thought they were exclusive. I gave her 1 rate, 1 sovereign, clean margins. Watts doesn't apologize for the arithmetic that makes that the only choice that makes sense. I walk slow on purpose, and watch speed reads as panic, and panic is how predators identify targets. I am not a target, I am the one who identifies them. Every girl in my operation is known. I know their names, their mother's names, the city they came from before this one. Know which ones call home on Sundays, and then which ones stop calling. I know the difference because I pay attention, and attention is what I offer in return for loyalty. The exchange is clear. Loyalty buys protection, protection buys continuity, and continuity in Watts is the only luxury that was never available at retail. I am what stayed, I am what Watts produces when it keeps producing past the point when it should have stopped. No apology, no explanation. Watts doesn't apologize, it just keeps operating. I know their names, their mother's names. Which ones call home on Sundays, and which ones stop? Just the district and the sovereign who learned to speak its language fluently.
The census comes every 10 years. The form has 12 questions. None of the 12 questions ask what you built here. None of them ask who you are to this neighborhood beyond your age and your household income. The census missed everything that matters about 3rd Ward. It counted heads, and it called it a complete picture of the population. It did not count the informal child care arrangements that kept 6 families employed. It did not count the dispute resolution networks that kept 3 blocks from becoming a news story. What the census missed is what 3rd Ward is. The census counted me as a single adult male in a 2-bedroom apartment in 77304. It did not count the 14 people that apartment has housed in emergencies over the past 9 years. What the census missed is what keeps us alive. What the census missed is what this city runs on. The 12 questions never ask what you built here or what you kept standing. What the census missed is the infrastructure between the numbers. I've been operating outside the counting instruments my entire adult life. Not by design, by the nature of what I do, which is administrative work that doesn't produce documentable output. When I spend 3 hours talking to a young man named Marcus through why the decision he's about to make is irreversible, the conversation does not appear in any data set. When I coordinate with Pastor Thibodeau with greater faith to identify which families need groceries before the 1st of the month, when the previous month's assistance runs out, that coordination does not appear in any service delivery report. When I know before the block knows that the water on Dowling Street is about to go off again, and I get 4 families organized to store water before the city sends the notice that preparedness infrastructure does not appear in any city emergency management record. Mark Pockets is not a data point. Pastor Thibodeau's coordination is not a service delivery metric. And the 14 people who slept in my apartment in emergencies are not in any emergency services record. What the census miss is what keeps us alive. What the census miss is what this city runs on. Marcus walked away from an irreversible decision because I spent 3 hours on a Tuesday that no data set recorded. What the census miss? Pastor Thibodeau, 4 families in stored water, and me knowing before the block knew. What the census miss is the infrastructure of survival that the invisible architects built in the gaps between all the things the census can count. The architects whose contribution exists only as the difference between what this neighborhood is and what it would have been if they had chosen somewhere else or nowhere at all. I chose here, not because here was easy, because here required what I had to offer. And what I had to offer was the specific capacity for building infrastructure in conditions that preclude official infrastructure. That capacity is not countable. The census cannot capture it. The instruments of official measurement were not designed to capture it, because the instruments were designed to count a population, not to understand what keeps that population alive. The woman from Port Arthur stayed in my apartment for 6 weeks after her situation became untenable. She now works at a clinic in the medical center and sometimes brings food to the neighborhood on Saturdays. 47 patients a week, built on 6 weeks. The census never knew to count. What the census miss is what keeps us alive. What the census miss is what this city runs on. The woman from Port Arthur, 6 weeks in my apartment, 47 patients a week at the medical center. What the census miss is still building right now, faster than any instrument designed to count. What keeps third ward alive is not in the census. It is in the men and women who are doing uncounted work and uncounted hours, building uncounted structures that the next census will also miss. Because the census is always 10 years behind, and the infrastructure of survival builds at the speed of necessity, which is faster than any instrument designed by people who have never needed it.
The black went up in that year. Bronze on granite. 12 words that summarize 40 years of what happened on this block. The 12 words were accurate, the way a weather report is accurate. Technically true, stripped of everything that made it real. I was there for all 40 years. Not some of them, all of them. I was there when the building had no heat and the landlord had no interest in acquiring any. I was there when 6 families shared one working bathroom and called it a community arrangement. The plaque says, this building served as a center of cultural activity from 1979 to 2019. It does not say this building was kept alive through 40 winters by men and women with no official mandate. It does not say the names of those men and women, because the plaque did not know their names and did not know it was supposed to. My father's name was Harold. Harold spent 11 years managing the building's informal governance structure, resolving disputes between tenants, coordinating repairs the landlord never funded, organizing the 3-block radius into something with enough collective weight to make requests legible to City Hall. Harold is not in any city record connected to this building. Harold's administrative contribution exists only in the memories of people now in their 50s, and in the shape of practices that survived them by 2 decades. The plaque never said Harold's name. The plaque didn't know it was supposed to. 40 years of what Harold built compressed into 12 words on bronze, and not one of those words was Harold. What the plaque never said is what happened between documented events. What the plaque never said is the name of the man who held it together. 11 years of Harold's governance, 11 winters of Harold showing up. What the plaque never said is that the building's survival had a name, and the name was Harold. I I been doing what Harold did since he couldn't anymore. Not by appointment, by continuation. The same way a river continues through the delta after the source is dried up, carrying the same water in the same direction without being the same river. The Bronx has 100 Harolds, pockets of unofficial administration that keep things functional in the gaps between official attention. Men who learn the building codes by fixing code violations nobody else would touch. Women who learn to navigate city systems through the specific humiliation of being ignored until they became undeniable. The plaque does not know about any of them. The plaque knows about the building. The building is the publicly legible artifact that can be measured, photographed, designated. The governance that kept it standing is not publicly legible. It operated between the documented events. 100 Harolds in the Bronx, and the plaque knows none of their names. The plaque knows the address. The address needed the Harolds to still be standing. The plaque never said is what happened between documented events. What the plaque never said is the name of the man who held it together. The Bronx has 100 Harolds navigating systems designed to ignore them until they become undeniable. What the plaque never said, the governance ran in the gap, and the gap was everything. I am not interested in a plaque. A plaque is an announcement that the official record has decided to notice something. The official record noticing things 40 years after the fact is not acknowledgement. It is archaeology. What I am interested in is the continuation of work the plaque summarized in 12 words, because the work was never completed. It just reached a point where an institution with a plaque budget felt comfortable associating its name with the address. The address still needs what it always needed. Unofficial men with unofficial mandates, building unofficial structures that will not have plaques for another 40 years. Harold would have understood. Harold understood. The building is not the point. The work is what some man or woman woke up every morning and did without expecting to see it in bronze. The work is still happening, but the bronze is still 40 years away. What the plaque never said is that the plaque was never the right unit of measurement for what men like Harold built in buildings like this one, on blocks like this one. In boroughs the city has been planning to improve since before anyone living in them was born. What the plaque never said is what happened between documented events. What the plaque never said is the name of the man who held it together. Harold built 11 years of governance, and the plaque arrived 30 years after the building already stood. What the plaque never said is the work is still happening, and the bronze is still 40 years away.
Third ward doesn't argue with you. It just stays open past midnight and charges you for the air that you breathe. If you don't know someone who knows someone, I've been running this district since before the highway got wider, since Miss Delphine's Fish Shack was the landmark everybody used. Nobody needs a sign when they know the address by the way the block smell. Nobody needs a contract when your word is the ordinance. I don't move fast because fast is how people get noticed, and notice is how people get tested, and tested is how people find out what they actually are. And I already know what I am. The slow burn is not patience. It is a different kind of violence, the kind that doesn't need a witness because the result announces itself by Thursday. The kind that runs through third ward like 808 through concrete. Felt before it's understood. The district runs me like a clock. I set the hours keep the rest in line. Nothing moves on all metal after 11 without my knowing. Nothing crosses the bayou without a toll. I've already decided. Every girl I ever chose walked in on her own. I didn't recruit. I became the only geography that made sense when every other direction felt like a wall. I was the one door that said, come in, here are the rules. Those rules cost something. They cost the softness in the voice first, then the sleeping past sunrise. then the idea that somewhere else might be different. The slow burn is not patience. It is a different kind of violence. Every girl who walked through that door understood the geography before she crossed the threshold. The slow burn already told her in the way the block held its breath when I walked past. Miss Coretta on the corner used to tell me, baby, God don't bless what the devil built. I used to think she meant someone else. Now I understand she was talking to the address, not the whoever happened to be standing in it. The ordinance is old, older than me, older than my daddy's Cadillac. It was here before the highway to the neighborhood's neck, and it'll be here after this block gets renamed for someone respectable. I manage what I manage, I count for what I count for. The 808 in the trunk of every car I ever drove is not music. It is how the district announces its presence to itself. You feel it in the chest before you understand it with the mind. That's the ordinance. That's how Houston tells you who's sovereign and who's just visiting. 3 in the morning on Griggs Road. Miss Loretta's porch light is the only warm thing left, and even she dims it when she hears my engine slow down. Out of respect or out of memory or out of both. The slow burn is not patience. It is a different kind of violence. Miss Coretta's warning and Miss Loretta's porch light dimming when she hears my engine. Older than know what I pay. The ordinance runs through everything, and everything knows. I've been paying for every inch of this since the first night I understood that geography is destiny. Since the first time I chose the streets over the choice, and the streets chose me back without any ceremony. The district doesn't crown you. You pay for every inch of it. In your sleep, in your soft places, in the years that go quiet before you notice them going. When they developed everything else on this block, they left one lot unclear for 9 months. The developer said, the title search is complicated. What complicated meant was, there is a man living in the structure on this lot who has been there for 23 years. And the eviction process for a 23-year tenant in California takes longer than the financing cycle allows. I am the complicated title. I am the thing that cannot be cleared on the developer's schedule. Not out of stubbornness, out of the specific administrative weight of a man who's been on a piece of land long enough to have rights the law acknowledges, even when the law would prefer not to. The lot around me was cleared. The adjacent building came down in October. The one on the other side in November. By December, I was the last structure on an empty block with construction equipment parked in a ring around my perimeter like a mechanical siege. I made coffee every morning of that winter and sat on my step, not in defiance and documentation. No blueprint, no survey. Last standing on the lot. I am the complicated title that the developer's financing cycle cannot absorb. No blueprint, no survey. And I'm still here, and the structure is still standing. I am not alone in this. I'm standing on this lot the way my daddy stood on Lyons Avenue in Houston. Building without a survey, without a permit, without anything official that said he was allowed to. The neighborhood leaned on what he built, and what he built never moved. I'm standing on this lot the way Harold stood in the Bronx building, managing governance for 11 years without a title or a salary. The building's still standing 40 years later because Harold stood in it without moving. I'm standing on this lot the way Uncle Raymond stood on Malcolm X Boulevard in South Dallas for 31 years. The way Jerome unsigned his architecture when Watson 3 systems still run without. The way Anthony from Building 6 made 4 calls that the methodology could not admit, but the neighborhood can. Daddy Harold, Raymond, Jerome, Anthony. Not one plaque between them. Not one official record that says these men held something that would have collapsed without them. No blueprint,
no survey. Last standing on the lot. Daddy Harold, Raymond, Jerome, Anthony, and the grandfather Edgar, who rehung the window on 13th 4th in 1962. No blueprint, no survey. Last standing, still holding, bearing the weight. The plan's never accounted for. My name is not on any of the surveys conducted during the development process. The environmental impact study described this lot as vacant with minor structural debris. The structure they described as minor debris is the place where I have slept every night for 23 years. The place where my daughter learned to walk. The place where I built the relationships that constitute whatever social infrastructure remains functional on this block. Last standing on the line, not by victory, by persistence. The same persistence that characterized every builder in this album who poured a foundation before a survey arrived, who built something without putting a name on it, who stayed 17 winners on the same Meridian, who left handwriting in walls that will outlast the name they were never given. No blueprint, no survey. The structure rises from what you understood about the land, and what I understand about this land is that it has held the weight of people the city never planned for, and will continue holding that weight after the development cycle clears and the next one arrives, and the one after that. The monument was always the man himself, not the building, not the system, not the arrangement. The man who chose to be the fixed point, the man who chose to be the ghost column, the man who chose to be the last standing thing on the cleared lot, because the alternative was to leave, and leaving was not something the land required of him, and what the land requires is the only measure that has ever mattered. No blueprint, no survey. Last standing on the lot. The land still holds the shape of what was built on it. The monument was always the man himself. No blueprint, no survey. I'm still here, and the man is still here. Last standing on the lot. I'm still here. The monument was always the man himself, and the man is still here. Last standing on the lot. That is the record. Courts have rules about what constitutes admissible evidence. The evidence has to come from a credentialed source. It has to be documented, reproducible, chain of custody intact. If the evidence doesn't meet those standards, it doesn't exist as far as the record is concerned. Everything I've built doesn't exist as far as the record is concerned. I spent 4 years keeping a specific stretch of Queensbridge from becoming a war zone, not through enforcement, through the specific application of 30-year relationships. The kind of relationships that let you call a man at 2 in the morning and have him believe you when you say the decision you're about to make will cost more than you understand. I made 4 calls in 4 years that each prevented something irreversible. I know they prevented something irreversible because I know what the alternative looked like. I was present for what happened in the years before I made those relationships available as a resource. The 4 calls are not admissible. No before and after data set, no control group, no methodology, no peer review. There is only a neighborhood that stopped repeating the cycle it had run for a decade before I was available. Evidence the court didn't admit, but the neighborhood has evidence the court didn't admit. 4 men breathing who the methodology can't account for. I made 4 calls in 4 years in 4 situations that were irreversible, didn't become irreversible. Evidence the court didn't admit, but the 4 men know, and I know, and the neighborhood knows. A researcher from a university came through Queensbridge in 2018. She was studying violence prevention in public housing. She asked about informal intervention mechanisms. I told her about the 4 calls. She said, do you have documentation of the outcomes? I said, the outcomes are that 4 men are alive who would not have been. She said, can you connect the calls to the outcomes in a way that would be methodologically defensible? I said, I cannot, because the connection is relational, and relational evidence is not admissible in your methodology. She thanked me for my time. The chapter she published did not mention me. The chapter mentioned informal networks as a category. I am a category. Evidence the court didn't admit, but the neighborhood has evidence the court didn't admit. account for. The researcher published her chapter, and I am a category called informal networks. Evidence the court didn't admit, but the chapter exists because the neighborhood exists, and the neighborhood exists because of the calls. Oh, I am not a category. I am a man named Anthony who grew up in Building 6, who spent 30 years accumulating the specific social capital required to make 4 phone calls that kept 4 men alive in a neighborhood that the research literature has documented as high risk for exactly the kind of outcomes those calls prevented. The research literature does not know my name. The research literature knows the outcome data for my neighborhood. It does not know that the outcome data improved in the years following my availability as an intervention resource. Because correlation without documentation is not admissible. This is the condition of the invisible architect. Everything you build is evidence of what you built. The evidence exists, it walks around, it breathes, it has names, but it is not admissible. And any proceeding with the power to distribute credit or resources. I am not building for credit. I built for the 4 men who are alive. The 4 men know why they're alive, even if the methodology cannot capture the mechanism. Evidence the court didn't admit, but the neighborhood has. Evidence the court didn't admit. 4 men breathing who the methodology can't account for. Anthony from Building 6, 30 years of social capital. 4 calls, 4 men still alive. Evidence the court didn't admit is the only evidence that was ever real on these 4 specific nights. That is the record I keep, not the one the court would admit. The one the neighborhood already has. The one that exists in every room, where one of those 4 men is breathing and would not be if the evidence the court didn't admit had been the only evidence available.
Compton doesn't bury its son with ceremony. It just keeps moving, and the ones who can't keep up with the pace find out what they are when the neighborhood moves past them. Have been moving at Compton speed my entire adult life, which is not fast, it is relentless. There is a difference between velocity and endurance, and the ones who misread Compton confuse the two every time. I ran this stretch of Wilmington for longer than some of the buildings standing here. Longer than the liquor store on the corner that changed owners twice. Longer than the church that became a gym, and then a storage facility, and then a charter school. The land stays, the purposes turn over. Compton doesn't bury its own with ceremony. It just keeps moving, relentless, not fast. The ones who confuse velocity and endurance find out when the neighborhood passes them. Compton doesn't bury its own. It just keeps moving at the speed that separates the tenants from the land. I am the purpose that did not turn over. 3 women over the course of 20 years, not simultaneously, in sequence. Each one a specific chapter in the operation, each one with their own terms negotiated honestly. The last one, a woman called Rosa who came from East LA and spent 4 years here, told me when she left, you run this life, you're afraid it'll stop if you stop paying attention. She was right, that's exactly how I run it, because that's exactly what Compton taught me. The district stops when you stop attending to it, and I have not stopped attending to it, not once in 20 years, not even on the days I should have. Some mornings I drive the perimeter before I do anything else, not out of anxiety, out of respect. The same way a craftsman walks through the shop in the morning before the work begins to confirm that the tools are in place and the conditions are what they were yesterday. Compton doesn't bury its own with ceremony. It just keeps moving. Rosa said, you run this like you're afraid it'll stop if you stop paying attention. She was right. Compton doesn't bury its own. And I have not stopped attending to it, not once in 20 years. Not even on the days I should have. Every inch of this territory was paid for, every inch of it. Some inches cost more than others. The ones near the precinct, the ones near the school, the ones where 2 operations territories overlapped and had to be renegotiated without escalation. I negotiated every one of those overlaps without violence, not because I'm not capable, because violence collapses the infrastructure you need to keep operating.
And operating was always the objective, not the performance of operating. I changed the same way Compton changes. 20 years of incremental adjustment to the territory's requirements, not visible in any single conversation, accumulated in layers like the neighborhood itself. Compton doesn't bury its own
with ceremony, it just keeps moving.
And I am still moving with it, which is the only testimonial available in a district that doesn't write history, it produces it. Every inch paid in full. The district remains, the sovereign does not. But the district having remained is the evidence that something here was administered well enough for the district to outlast the administration, and the administration to have meant something to the 30 years of this specific piece of pavement that would not have been what it was without someone deciding to hold it. That is all I have. That is all anyone who does what I do ever has. The district still standing, still moving at Compton speed, after everything that tried to stop it.
Port Arthur smells like crude oil and Sunday morning. And I smell like both because I came from both. The refinery and the church are 2 blocks apart on Proctor Street. And neither one tells the whole truth about what happens after dark. My daddy worked the refinery. 31 years, came home with the smell that wouldn't wash out. I watched him sit at the kitchen table like the weight was structural, like the chair was the only thing between him and the ground. I chose different. Not better, not cleaner, different. At least the ledger I keep is mine. At least the weight I carry has my name on the title. The ledger doesn't lie, it just tracks what came in and what remained. My daddy's ledger was 31 years of the refinery's numbers. Mine has my name on the title. The ledger doesn't lie, and it keeps running whether you're watching or not. I run 3 women in Port Arthur and 2 in Beaumont. The Beaumont operation costs more to maintain because of the distance, so the Beaumont margin has to be wider to justify the overhead. These are not romance calculations, these are logistics. Darnell's cousin Tamara came to me through circumstance. Her people were in the refinery too, laid off in the 3rd quarter. When the numbers stopped making sense to the company stopped making sense to them. And she was already working, already surviving. She just wasn't surviving with structure. I gave her structure, a rate, a territory, a protocol for when things go sideways, a number to call before she called anyone else. And the understanding that structure is not the same as a cage. It's the difference between a fence and a property line. The ledger doesn't lie, it just tracks what came in and what remained. Tamara came in already working. The ledger just got a column with a name on it and a structure that held. The ledger doesn't lie, structure is not a cage, just a property line, and the line was hers. The crude comes in, the refinery burns out the impurity. What's left is cleaner and more valuable and completely divorced from what it was before. I watched that process my entire childhood, and I thought, that's management. That's what sovereign administration looks like at industrial scale. Miss Irene used to bring gumbo to the block on the 1st of every month. She knew which houses were struggling before the lights went off. She never asked for payment, she kept a different kind of ledger. And I learned from both kinds, the one with dollars and the one with witness. My ledger has both columns now. The dollar column is what keeps the operation solvent. The witness column is what keeps me from becoming something unrecognizable. Port Arthur put both of those instincts in me before I knew what to do with either. The slow burn here is different from Houston's slow burn. Houston's is political, deliberate, a chess player's patience. Port Arthur's slow burn is geological. It runs like oil through rock, slow because the density requires it, not because the will is absent. The ledger doesn't lie, it just tracks what came in and what remained. Miss Irene's gumbo column and the dollar column, both running simultaneously, both current, both Port Arthur. The ledger doesn't lie, Port Arthur runs through everything I do like crude runs under Proctor Street. I've been paying for this district since before I knew it was a district. Since the first night I understood that geography assigned you a set of tools. And Sovereign is the one who figures out what to build with the tools the geography provided. Not the tools some other geography decided you should have had. The ledger is current, the ledger is accurate, unseen, continuous, and driving everything that is light and heat above it.
Everything I know. Everything I know about this neighborhood. Everything I know about this neighborhood came from mouths, not from documents, not from archives, not from the kind of source that an academic institution would accept as evidence. Because the mouths that knew didn't have credentials, and evidence requires credentials apparently. My grandfather's oral history of this block runs to 47 years. 47 years of who lived where, what happened when, how the neighborhood transformed itself through 3 waves of displacement, 2 epidemics, 1 fire that took the corner building, and the subsequent decade of negotiation about what would go up in its place. I have been recording his oral history since I was 16, not on paper, in my head, in the way he told it. The rhythm of how he talked about the block being as important as the content, because the rhythm was itself a form of historical information. 47 years of testimony, living in one man's memory on 128th. And in the rhythm of how he talked, the data is in the cadence. Oral history, mouth to ear, the unmapped man, the one who built something essential without leaving a document trail. My grandfather's 47 years carried this block through 3 waves of displacement. Oral history, mouth to ear, and it lives in me now because he put it there. He said on 128th, before they put up the community center, there was a man named Douglas. Douglas ran a mutual aid arrangement out of his apartment that predated the term mutual aid. Douglas didn't know it was called mutual aid. He called it what neighbors do. He tracked who was behind on utilities, who needed groceries, who needed someone to talk to at 4 in the morning. The arrangement ran for 11 years before Douglas moved to the Bronx to be closer to his daughter. When Douglas left, the arrangement didn't close. It transferred to a woman named Evelyn on the same floor. Evelyn ran it for 8 more years until the building went condo and the tenants dispersed. Douglas is not in any record of Harlem social history. Evelyn is not in any record. The arrangement they maintained is not in any record because the record keepers were looking for organizations with 501 status and meeting minutes. The arrangement had no minutes because the arrangement had no meetings. It just had Douglas knowing that on the 3rd floor, Mims Patterson was behind on Con Edison, and that on the 6th floor, old Mr. Baptiste had been alone for 9 days, and that on the 2nd floor, a young woman from Georgia with no family in the city needed someone to confirm that she had been seen. Douglas saw her, Evelyn saw her after Douglas, and that scene kept the arrangement alive. Douglas and Evelyn and Mims Patterson and Mr. Baptiste, not one name in any Harlem social history archive. But 11 years of Douglas plus 8 years of Evelyn equals 19 years of survival. Infrastructure on 1 floor. Oral history, mouth to ear. The unmapped man, the one who built something essential without leaving a document trail. Douglas and Evelyn built 19 years of mutual aid, and the record keepers never knew to look. Oral history, mouth to ear, and the arrangement lives in me because my grandfather put it there. I am the archive now. I carry 47 years of my grandfather's testimony, plus 12 years of my own observation, plus what Douglas's granddaughter told me at the bodega last spring about her grandfather, who nobody outside this block remembers. The unmapped man is the most common man in this city, the one who built something essential without leaving a document trail, whose contribution exists only in the living memory of people who were present and will be gone when those people are gone, unless someone decides that mouths are a legitimate archive. I have decided that mouths are a legitimate archive. I have decided that my grandfather's 47 years in rhythm is as credible a historical source as anything in a library with climate control and a card catalog. I am transmitting it the same way he transmitted it to me, mouth to ear, block by block, name by name, oral history, mouth to ear, the unmapped man, the one who built something essential without leaving a document trail. I am the archive now, 47 years of testimony, plus 12 years of my own watching. Oral history, mouth to ear, the official record refused to map him, and I am the map. The oral history of men, the official record refused to map. Douglas and Evelyn and every unnamed architect on every unmapped block, still running through the mouths of people who were there, still building, still feeding, still seeing the people who needed to be seen.
Before anyone came out to measure the lot, the foundation was already poured. Before they drew the line in the dirt that said, this is yours, this is theirs, I already knew where the property ended. I'd walked it in the dark. Houston teaches you to read land without instruments, the way the ground holds water after rain, the way certain intersections stay busy past midnight while others go quiet by 9. These are not surveyable facts. They are felt through the soles of shoes over years of walking. My daddy built 3 things in his life without blueprints: a storage room behind the house on Lyons Avenue, lumber from a demolished church on Jensen Drive, a network in the 5th Ward that meant nobody who came through us hungry stayed that way, and a system of accountability among the men in his circle that held long after he stopped showing up. Nobody named any of those things. Nobody put a plaque on the storage room. The system of accountability did not get transferred to any nonprofit. It just operated quietly until the men who remembered it were gone. By the time the official instruments appear, the load-bearing work has already been done by someone the survey didn't know to look for. Foundation before the survey, built before anyone came to measure. My daddy poured that foundation on Lyons Avenue and called it a storage room, but the neighborhood leaned on it for 30 years and it never moved. I've been building on meta since I was old enough to understand what on meta required, not construction arrangement. Who goes where, who handles what, who can be trusted at what weight. The kind of structural thinking that keeps 30 people fed and housed and none incarcerated. In a neighborhood the city is classified as a zone of managed decline. Managed decline is what the survey says about on meta. What the survey does not say is that there are men here managing the ascent, filling the gaps the city left open with their own labor and their own systems, building foundations for structures the city refuses to acknowledge exist. Miss Vernell at the corner of Omeda and Blodgett has been feeding children after school since 1987. No permit, no non-profit status, no official recognition from anybody with the word official in its title. Just a woman who identified a structural need and built a structure to address it. Out of her own kitchen, out of her own grocery budget, out of 40 years of capacity she built before any of us arrived. Foundation. The kind that holds after every official structure has been defunded, relocated, or converted to much. Foundation before the survey, built before anyone came to measure.
Miss Vanell's been feeding children since 1987, and nobody in the title has written the name.
The foundation she poured is still feeding, and the survey still doesn't know it's there. The structure I built is not visible in any record. No deed, no permit, no mention in any city document about what this never lit is. But it is bearing weight right now. Bearing the weight of everything the city said it would provide and hasn't. I've been building in the tradition of Miss Vernell and my daddy, and every other unnamed architect who poured their foundation before anyone arrived to measure the lot. The load-bearing work was always done before the instruments showed up, and the instruments never once caught up to what was already holding. No blueprint, no survey. The structure rises from what you understood about the land.
Foundation before the survey, built before anyone came to measure. This land has been holding more than it was ever designed to hold. And the man who built his foundations built them to last past the point where lasting seemed reasonable. Built without anyone watching, built without anyone knowing, built to last.
17 winners
And lasting.
Same street in South Dallas, same intersection of Malcolm X Boulevard and Overton Road. Same people, same problems, same distance between what the city promised and what arrived. I calculated once what 17 winners cost a man who doesn't leave. Not in dollars, in the other currencies, and opportunities not taken, and invitations declined. And the number of times someone said, you should come to Houston, Atlanta, Chicago. And I said, I know what I'm doing here, and I don't know what I'd be doing there. The Meridian is the decision not to move. The decision not to move is the architecture. Because what gets built depends entirely on who stays to build it. And most people left South Dallas when leaving was possible. I stayed. 17 winners, same Meridian, I'm still here. 17 winners on this same ground that the city plans around, but never fall. Nobody gives you a medal for staying. The neighborhood just has something solid to lean on. 17 winners, same Meridian, and the Meridian holds. My Uncle Raymond stayed on this block for 31 years before he died. He was not a man of grand gestures or memorable speeches. He was a man who showed up to the school board meeting when nobody else from this neighborhood showed up. To the city council session when the resident proposal would have displaced 600 families. To the parking lot dispute that became a territory dispute that would have become something irreversible. Raymond, showing up prevented things, not by force, not by political sophistication, not by legal knowledge, but by the specific weight of a man who has been in a place long enough that the place remembers him as part of its own memory. When Raymond died, the neighborhood held a gathering at Miss Clara's house. Nobody organized it. It organized itself around the fact that people needed to be in the same room. That is the architecture of long presence. It builds a gravitational field around a person that reshapes how people move through the same space. Raymond never got a plaque. Raymond never got a mention in the Dallas Morning News. Raymond got a gathering at Miss Clara's house when he was gone. And the gathering was held in a neighborhood that was still standing. 17 winners, same Meridian, I'm still here. 17 winners on this same ground that the city plans around, but never fall. Raymond held 31 years on this block, and the neighborhood organized itself when he was gone. 17 winners, same Meridian. And I'm at 17 now, beginning to understand what 31 means. I've been building that gravitational field for 17 winners. It is not visible yet. Gravity never is until you test it. But I know it's there because I've tested it. In the moments when something in this neighborhood almost broke the wrong way, and something redirected it, and the something was the accumulated weight of 17 years of showing up. The winners here are not cold by northern standards, but they are isolating. The particular isolation of a poor neighborhood in a southern city in winter. When the city has decided that certain neighborhoods don't require winterization of their infrastructure, and the pipes burst and the response time extends to 72 hours, and the people who stay know exactly who they can call and who will come. That's the Meridian, that's the 17 winners. I come, I stay, I build through the next season, and the next season after that, until the building has accumulated enough layers of winter to qualify as something the neighborhood can lean against when it needs something solid. I'm at year 17, I'm not at 31 yet, but I understand now what Raymond was doing when I didn't understand it while he was doing it. He was being the Meridian, the fixed point around which the neighborhood could measure its own movement. Without him, there was no fixed point. And without a fixed point, you cannot know if you were moving towards something or just drifting. 17 winners, same Meridian, I'm still here. 17 winners on this same ground that the city plans around. Never fall, I come, I stay, I build the next season, and the next season, and then the season after that. 17 winners, same Meridian. The architecture that takes the longest to build leaves the least visible evidence, and outlasts almost everything that gets a name. Every proposition is premises. And if you're from Queensbridge, you understand premises, because the premises are where you lived. Literally. The projects, the premises, the starting point of every argument. I'm not here to make you comfortable with what I do. Comfort is what people with options negotiate for. I'm here to walk you through the logic, step by step, the same way QB walked me through it before I had a choice. Premise 1, Queensbridge does not produce wealth, it produces survivors. Premise 2, survivors with no tools become victims of something else's structure. Premise 3, I chose to build a structure rather than become subject to someone else's. The proposition follows from the premises. Disagree with the conclusion. First, disagree with the facts. The proposition is still on the table. Same terms, same district, same map. Premise 1, premise 2, premise 3. The logic hasn't changed because the district hasn't changed. The proposition is still on the table. Come from QB and tell me which premise you're disputing. I started with 2 women in one territory, Vernon and 21st, the stretch between the bridge and the parking lot. Both women came through different circumstances, but the same mathematics. They were already in the proposition, I was just the one who wrote it down legibly. Chandra came from the 3rd floor of the high-rise facing the park. Her mother worked nights at Kings County Hospital. Her father was a variable that stopped appearing in the equation. She was already managing her own transactions before she was 17. I didn't teach her the game, I gave the game a discipline she could scale. The discipline is what people miss when they look at this from outside the premises. They see exploitation because they starting from different axioms. They never define what the alternative was. They never run the logic of what happens to Chandra in the absence of structure.
The proposition is still on the table. Same terms, same district, same map. Chandra on the 3rd floor, already running transactions at 17. The proposition gave the discipline a frame. The proposition is still on the table. Run the logic of what happens to her without it. Then talk to me. I run the logic. I run it every morning before I make a single decision. It is not justification, it is calibration. The difference between those two words is what keeps the operation sustainable. Old man Ray from the first building used to say, in a place that has no law, the man who makes the rules is not the criminal. He's the closest thing to government you're gonna get. I thought he was rationalizing when I was young. Now I run 6 blocks and I understand what he meant. That is accountability. The city doesn't offer Queensbridge accountability. The landlord doesn't offer it. The precinct doesn't offer it. I offer it inside the square mile where the city forgot to show up with anything legible. Disagree? Then come from Queensbridge and offer a better proposition. Come from the 8th floor, building 6, and tell me what the alternative infrastructure looks like. Come from the same premises and reach a different conclusion. The proposition is still on the table. Same terms, same district, same math. Old man Ray said, the man who makes the rules is the closest thing to government. You get it? The proposition is still on the table. I'll listen. I run the logic. And if it holds, I'll change the terms.
Nobody signs. Nobody signs what they build and watch. You don't sign it because signing is how you make it a target. The most valuable architecture in this district has no name on it, because the name would attract attention. The structure isn't built to survive. I've been designing without attribution since the first time I understood that in Watts. Visibility and vulnerability are the same word. Everything I built that lasted, every agreement, every arrangement, every system that kept the peace was built without my name anywhere near it. The architects whose names you know didn't build this neighborhood. They built the buildings the city owns, the facilities the city funds. What the city doesn't fund doesn't get an architect to wreck it. What the city doesn't fund is still holding up everything the city does fund. No signature, no record, just the neighborhood running more smoothly than the city planned for. Unsigned and holding, and bearing more weight than anything in this zip code that got permitted. No name on the design, and the design doesn't need my name to function. Unsigned, and the neighborhood is still standing because of it. There's a man named Jerome who I helped set up a mediation system on 108th in 2004. Neighborhood disputes that would have escalated to something newsworthy got resolved in parking lots and on porches before they became incidents with case numbers. Jerome ran it with no title, no funding, no official sanction. The system worked because it was unsigned, because unsigned means nobody in it has a position to protect. Nobody has a reputation staking the outcome, only in the resolution. That is the architecture of consent rather than enforcement. I designed it with Jerome over 2 Tuesday evenings. By Wednesday, it was running. By the following month, it had resolved 4 situations that would have required police response. By the end of the year, it had resolved 17 resolutions in a year. No data collection, no impact report, no city council testimony. Just the neighborhood being less combustible than before the design existed. The neighborhood doesn't know who designed it. The neighborhood doesn't need to know. Unsigned and holding, and bearing more weight than anything in this zip code that got permitted. Jerome ran the system 108 for 7 years without a title and without a salary. Unsigned, and 17 situations resolved without a case number in the first year alone. I built 7 more systems after Jerome's, each one unsigned, each one running on relationships rather than documentation. 3 of them are still operating 12 years later without the people who designed them, which means the design was structural, not personal. That's the test.
Does it outlast the designer? Does the architecture hold after the architect walks away? Everything I built that passed that test was unsigned from the beginning, because signing it would have made it about me, and about me is not a structure, it's a monument. I don't build monuments. Monuments are for men who need the neighborhood to remember them. I built systems that don't need the neighborhood to remember who built them, because the neighborhood is too busy living inside them to look for a signature. The signature is the function. The signature is that Hunter Waif is navigable, that certain disputes resolve without escalation, that certain men who would have gone to prison didn't, because somewhere there was an architecture in place that nobody knows the name of. Unsigned and holding, and bearing more weight than anything in the zip code that got permitted. 3 systems still running 12 years later without the men who built them. Unsigned, and the architecture outlasted the architect, which was always the point. Nobody appraises the Bronx. Nobody appraise the Bronx from the outside and gets it right. You gotta have paid rent here to understand the rate sheet. Gotta have walked Jerome Ave in January with holes in your Timbs to know what warm means when you finally find it. I came up under men who spoke in legends. Every conversation was a transaction. Every transaction had a margin. Old brother Malcolm on the Grand Concourse used to say everything has a number. The only question is who names it first. I name mine first, I always have. The district taught me that silence is how other people's numbers get imposed on you. So I speak early, I speak clearly, and I speak once. These are not negotiable. The Bronx rates its own. I am the Bronx, rating itself, not with arrogance, with accuracy. Because accuracy is the only currency that doesn't depreciate. The game in the Bronx is not about volume, it is about position. The same 3 blocks walked 1,000 different ways until you understand which angle catches the light and which angle puts you in it. I run my operation like a sentence, every word in the right place for a reason. No filler, no wasted syllables. When I speak to the women in my stable, they hear grammar, not instructions. 3 of them came to me within the same winter. Tamika from Fordham Road, Maya from Mauritania, and a girl from somewhere in the Carolinas who never gave a real name. I didn't ask twice. Names are aliases, action is identity, and all 3 acted like they understood the rate. The rate is simple. Bring what the district values, keep what the district allows, no more, no less. The Bronx does not pay for sentiment, it pays for utility and sentiment that has been made useful. The Bronx rates its own. I am the Bronx, rating itself. Tamika and Maya and the girl from the Carolinas all walked in with their own rate already in their posture. The Bronx named it first. I just confirmed the number they already knew. I don't dress to impress, I dress to inform. The cashmere says I have been paid. The silence says I have been patient. The combination says I am not someone you test without consequence. I walked from morning to 2 in the morning, 17 years running, before a single car slowed down to ask who I was, because the Bronx already knew who I was from the way I walked past the hydrant that everybody else walked around. The hydrant is the detail, it's always in the details. A man who owns his block does not deviate around obstacles. He moves through them or he decides where they get relocated. That's administration, that's sovereign management. Every girl I ever kept herself. I was the structure around the keeping. The walls, not the prisoner. The frame, not the painting. You don't credit the frame for the art, but you notice when it's gone. Bronx rates its own. I am the Bronx, rating itself. The cashmere says I have been paid. The silence says I have been patient. 17 years on Tremont before a car slowed. The Bronx confirmed my rate before I had to announce it. The district doesn't grieve its departures. It revises its ledger and opens the next column. I do the same. Clean books, clear margin, sovereign to the last decimal. Decimal. simply based on the pressure of the hand that applied it. And the skilled eye can read those changes the way a reader reads handwriting. The men who built this building without permits in 1947, using salvage material from 3 different demolitions on this block, left their handwriting in every room. Nobody reads it because nobody knows the look, but it is there in the variation of the plaster pressure and the specific angle of the window frame. My grandfather left his handwriting in 3 buildings in this neighborhood. He worked as a handyman for 40 years before arthritis ended the precision work. He didn't own any of the buildings he worked on, but he put 30,000 hours of labor into structures that still stand on streets where his name is not known. 30,000 hours in walls on streets where his name is not known. What men leaving walls outlast the name they never had? What men leaving walls? The handwriting of 30,000 hours. My grandfather worked 3 buildings in this neighborhood, and every room holds the rhythm of his hands. What men leaving walls? Still legible, still holding in buildings that don't know his name. What he left in the walls is not metaphor. It is the specific application of his hands to surfaces that have held for 70 years. It is the window in the 2nd floor landing of the building on Un-34 that opens more smoothly than the others because he rehung it 3 times until the balance was correct. And it is open that way ever since without needing attention. The man who lives on the 2nd floor does not know that the window opens easily because of a man named Edgar who died in 1988. The man who lives on the 2nd floor just opens the window, and maybe on a summer morning when a breeze comes through at exactly the right angle, there is a moment, just a moment of unexplainable ease. That is the monument. That is the only monument the men without monuments ever had or needed. The window that opens correctly, the wall that held past its expected lifespan, the structural decision made by a man with no title that is still making life incrementally easier for people who do not know his name. Leaving walls outlast the name they never had. What men leaving walls? The handwriting of 30,000 hours. Edgar rehung that window on Un-34 3 times until the balance was correct in 1962. What men leaving walls? A man on the 2nd floor opens it on a summer morning and doesn't know why it's easy. I have been leaving things in walls my entire adult life. Not plaster, decisions. The decision to stay when leaving was possible. The decision to absorb certain costs before they reached people who couldn't absorb them. The decision to have the hard conversation before it became the hard situation. Those decisions are in the walls now, in the neighborhood cellular memory, in the practices that people follow without knowing where they learned them, in the way certain conflicts get managed on this block that reflects choices made before the people managing them were born. It is enough. I've been running from the idea that it needs to be more than enough for a long time. But is enough to leave something in walls that doesn't require your name to keep working, to build something that outlasts its attribution, to be the kind of man whose contribution is legible in the ease of things that should be difficult. What men leaving walls outlast the name they never had? What men leaving walls? The handwriting of 30,000 hours. The decisions in the neighborhood cellular memory managed by people born after the man who made them. What men leaving walls is the only archive that matters, not because it's recognized, because it works long after the man is gone somewhere else or gone nowhere at all. Man.
30 blocks is not a measurement. It is a commitment. You don't own 30 blocks, you become responsible for them. Every intersection, every light that's out, every dog that knows your footstep by its rhythm. Third Ward Tithe is not paid monthly. It is paid in increment, in attention, in the specific kind of sleep deprivation that comes from managing a territory that never goes fully quiet. Even at 4 in the morning, Third Ward is doing something that requires accounting. I took these 30 blocks from a man named Donald Thibodeau. He didn't give them up willingly. He gave them up because he ran the blocks like he owned them. And you don't own Third Ward. Third Ward loans itself to whoever can manage its weight for a season. 30 blocks is not a measurement. It is a commitment. Donald ran the blocks like he owned them. Third Ward doesn't loan itself to men who forget their tenants. 30 blocks is not a measurement. It is the weight of a commitment Donald couldn't carry. Donald ran 3 girls into the ground because he didn't understand the theology of this business. This is not a business that rewards extraction. It rewards stewardship, the same way a church rewards the deacon who builds the congregation. Not the one who takes the offering and disappears before the ministry is complete. I stayed, I am still here 17 years after Donald Thibodeau drove a 94 Fleetwood into Lake Houston because the weight of what he'd taken exceeded what he'd given. I am still here because I understood the tithe before I understood the game. The tithe is not what you take from the women who work for you. The tithe is what you contribute to the district in exchange for the right to operate inside it. Protection, administration, resolution of conflicts that would otherwise escalate into something that involves the district's enemies. Those contributions are the tithe, and they are levied against every sovereign who holds territory. 30 blocks is not a measurement. It is a commitment. I stayed 17 years after Donald. The tithe is what you contribute, not what you take. The 30 blocks is not a measurement. Stewardship, not extraction, is what the theology demands. Charlene from CUNY Homes came to me the year after I took over from Donald. She was 17 and already knew more about the street than most grown men. I told her, I am not gonna teach you anything you don't already know. I'm gonna give you a structure that makes what you already know sustainable for longer than it would be without it. She stayed for 4 years. Then she went to work at a paralegal office downtown. I helped her get the certification, paid for the course myself. That is not charity, that is the tithe, investing in the people who sustain the operation, so the investment outlasts the operation itself. 30 blocks, 30 obligations, 30 tithe, 30 blocks, 30 times daily. The decision between what's expedient and what the territory requires of you. This is not a lifestyle. This is a calling that never offered you the option to decline. I pay the tithe. I pay it in full, every increment, every block, every winter that makes every other season feel like it was borrowed. Third Ward has not buried me yet because I have not stopped paying. The day I stop paying, Third Ward will collect what's sold in a different currency. 30 blocks is not a measurement. It is a commitment. Charlene's paralegal certification was the tithe, the investment outlasting the operation. 30 blocks is not a measurement. And I know the exchange rate, and that knowledge is what keeps me standing on the 30th block. There is a structural concept in engineering called a ghost column. It is a column that bears load without appearing in the official drawings, because at some point during construction, someone added it to solve a problem and never updated the documentation. I am a ghost column. Everything that stands in this neighborhood stands partly because of weight I am absorbing. Weight that is not distributed to me on any paper. Weight that the official load calculations did not account for, because the official load calculations were done before the neighborhood's real conditions were understood.
The plans don't show me,
But the weight does.
the plans don't show me,
Never once showed me,
and I'm still holding.
the plans don't show me, and everything above me
Is still standing.
I am the ghost column in every structure this neighborhood built to survive.
The plans don't show me,
But test the structure, and I'm the reason it holds. Compton's real conditions are not in any official document. The real conditions are in the relationship between the men who stayed here and the pressure that the city applies to neighborhoods. It has decided to manage through attrition. Managed attrition is the policy of reducing the neighborhood's population and resources until the land becomes developable and the remaining residents become somebody else's problem. The remaining residents are not somebody else's problem. They are my problem, in the sense that I have chosen to absorb the weight of that designation. The ghost column does not choose to be load-bearing. It is load-bearing because the structure requires it. I chose to be load-bearing because the structure required it, and I was here. Deshaun on Wilmington has been in this building for 22 years. The building is 40 years old and has had 17 official owners. None of the 17 owners maintained it according to code. Deshaun maintained what needed maintaining because Deshaun's children live in this building. And the school the children attend is 3 blocks away. And the school being 3 blocks away is the reason Deshaun has not left. I helped Deshaun navigate 4 eviction proceedings over 12 years, not as a lawyer, as a man who knew which organizations had the capacity to intervene at which stage, who knew which city council aid return calls about housing emergencies on the north side of the district, who knew the name of the inspector who actually enforced code violations rather than the ones who documented and filed them.
none of that knowledge is in any document. It is in me.
In the specific form of accumulated capacity for navigating systems designed to be unnavigable, for people who come from the addresses they were designed to process rather than serve.
Deshaun's children are still in school, 3 blocks away.
The attrition didn't work, not because of any official protection,
Because of a ghost column,
that isn't in the plan.
the plans don't show me,
Never once showed me,
and I'm still holding. The plans don't show me,
And everything above me
it's still standing.
helped Deshaun through 4 eviction proceedings in 12 years.
The plans don't account for any of that.
The plans don't show me
But Deshaun's children are still in school, 3 blocks away.
The ghost column accumulates this knowledge because the ghost column never leaves. It stays in the structure because the structure needs it in place. And the structure failing would mean Deshaun's children in a different school,
In a different neighborhood.
which means a different trajectory, which means the attrition works.
The attrition does not get to work on my watch. That is not a declaration of heroism.
It is a structural commitment made by a load-bearing element
That understands what happens to the floors above it if it steps aside.
The plans don't show me,
The plans never show me.
but if you test the structure
You apply the load
and watch what holds, the ghost column becomes legible.
in the way that all invisible structures
Become legible through the specific quality of silence.
that surrounds what isn't failing.
plans don't show me
Never once showed me, and I'm still holding.
plans don't show me
And everything above me,
It's still standing.
the ghost column becomes legible.
Only when you test the load, and the load has been tested here.
The plans don't show me
But the weight does, and the weight doesn't lie. The weight doesn't lie.
7th Avenue doesn't hold trials. It delivers verdicts. By the time you're standing on the corner of 125th trying to explain yourself, the verdict has already been posted on every face that walked past you before you opened your mouth. I have delivered 17 verdicts in 22 years, not through violence, through assessment. I assess the situation, I assess the individual. I delivered the determination, and the determination became the operating reality of that person's life in this district going forward. You wanna call that power, I call it calibration. The difference between a neighborhood that works and one that doesn't is whether there exists a mechanism for delivering assessments that people trust because they're accurate.
accurate. 7th Avenue doesn't hold trials, it delivers verdicts. 17 assessments in 22 years. The mechanism exists because the street eliminated all the alternatives. 7th Avenue doesn't hold trials, it delivered verdicts on every man who tried it without the capacity for accuracy. I am the mechanism, not because I appointed myself, because the street appointed me by eliminating the alternatives. Every man who tried to operate on 7th Ave without the capacity for accurate assessment got assessed by 7th Avenue itself and found insufficient. The verdict on them was swift, public, and permanent. I run 5 women between 1/65th and 30th. 2 of them have been with me longer than some of these new operators have been in the game. Vanessa from 1 Water Rate First has been in the operation for 11 years. She manages the logistics now. I don't give her instructions anymore. I give her context, and she determines the correct action from the context. That is development. That is what happens when you treat the operation as a system of growing capacity rather than a static hierarchy where the sovereign maintains all the knowledge and distributes only tasks. The old model doesn't scale. I learned that in year 3 when the administrative weight of managing 4 separate individuals with 4 separate circumstances inside 1 territory with 1 enforcement capacity nearly collapsed the operation before it had established itself. So I scaled the intelligence outward. Every person in the operation knows more than they need to know about their own position, so that when a position adjacent to theirs requires support, they can provide it without waiting for instruction. That is distributed sovereignty. That is how 7th Avenue actually operates, whether anyone administers it or not. 7th Avenue doesn't hold trials, it delivers verdict. Vanessa on 1221st manages logistics now. Distributed sovereignty, 11 years. The verdict is development. The 7th Avenue doesn't hold trials. The verdict on static hierarchies was swift, and the verdict was doesn't scale. The verdict I am most proud of was against myself. Year 9, I caught myself cutting corners on the protection protocols, delivering the rate but not the security, taking the margin but not fulfilling the maintenance. I caught myself to account before anyone else could. The verdict, 30 days of reduced operations while I rebuilt what had been neglected. The district never saw a disruption because I administered the correction before the disruption became visible. That is how you maintain a 17-year operation on 7th Avenue without a single catastrophic failure. 7th Avenue is watching, it always is. It watched the men before me get assessed and found wanting. The verdict on a sovereign is always pending. I intend to pass it, not by being without flaw, but by being without self-deception. 7th Avenue doesn't hold trials, delivers verdict. I caught myself to account in year 9 before anyone else could. The verdict was 30 days and no catastrophic failure. 7th Avenue doesn't hold trial, and the ones who understand that are the ones who remain sovereign long enough to mean something. 7. I am not going to tell you I regret anything. Regret is a luxury for people who had alternative they chose not to take. Every fork in my road led back to the same street, and the street was where I learned how to be something other than what the school said I was. Let me tell you what I am without the marketing. I am a regent, not a king. A regent holds authority in the absence of a legitimate governance, and in the districts I've known, legitimate governance was always absent. So I administered. I administered without a title that anyone outside the district would recognize as official. I administered without a paycheck, without a pension, without the protections the city extends to the administrators it acknowledges. I administered anyway because the district required it, and I was the one available. Region of nothing clean, that is an accurate title. I administered without title, without pension, without the protections extended to acknowledged administrators. Region of nothing clean, the district required it. Legitimate governance was absent, and I was the one available. The The women in my operation, all 7 over the years, counting departures, knew the terms. They knew because I stated them clearly in the first conversation, in every conversation after. I did not use romance as leverage. Romance is how you create debt that can never be accounted for. I use clarity. This is what I provide. This is what I require. This is what happens when either side fails the turns. 3 of them are doing other things now. Keisha from Well Valley first is in insurance. She calls me on my birthday, which I appreciate. A woman named Desire went back to Cleveland and started a daycare. I got a card from her in 2019 that said, "You taught me that structure is not the same as control." I didn't know that was a lesson until she named it. I thought I was just running an operation. Turns out I was demonstrating a distinction that somebody needed to see demonstrated. Region of nothing clean, that is an accurate title. Keisha calls on my birthday. Desire runs a daycare in Cleveland. The title is accurate and so is the accounting. Region of nothing clean, I didn't know the lesson until Desire named it. And then I knew what I'd been. The distinction is narrow, I am honest about that. The line between structure and control is the informed consent of everyone inside the structure. And informed consent in my world was always partial, because the information available to the women in my operation was always partial. Because the world they were navigating was withholding the most critical information about their options. I was one of the few things in that world that did not withhold what it was. And I am not using that as absolution. I am using it as the most accurate description of what I actually was inside a system I did not design. The district doesn't crown you. You pay for every inch of it, in your sleep, in your soft places, in the years that go quiet before you notice them going. I have paid, I am still paying. The currency is different now. Time instead of risk, memory instead of margin. But the accounting is still running, still current, still precise. Region of nothing clean, that is an accurate title. There was nothing clean in the territory, nothing clean in the administration, nothing clean in the reckoning. Region of nothing clean, and yet here I am reckoning, which means I outlasted the territory. And I paid, and I am still here to report the cost.